This is the Reading to Learn math page for section 8.2. We're going to read the lesson. Determine whether each of the following is a correct or incorrect statement of a geometric theorem. If the statement is incorrect, replace the underlined word to make the statement correct. So item A, opposite angles of a parallelogram are supplementary. That's false. Opposite angles of a parallelogram are congruent. The diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. That's true. Part C, the consecutive angles of a parallelogram are congruent. Consecutive angles are supplementary. So that's false. D, a diagonal of a parallelogram separates it into two congruent quadrilaterals. That's false. It's two congruent triangles. Part E, opposite sides of a parallelogram are congruent. Definitely true. Number 2, let quadrilateral ABCD be a parallelogram where the distance from A to B doesn't equal the distance from B to C, and there's no right angles. Sketch a parallelogram that matches that description given above. Then draw a diagonal, segment BD. So I need a parallelogram that doesn't have right angles. That means it's a parallelogram that isn't a rectangle. So that means it can't be a square either. Okay, so I need to make sure this is a parallelogram. That's why I'm putting these marks on here. Also, I made sure that these two consecutive sides weren't the same. You can name this a lot of different ways. Just make sure you go around the shape when you name it either way. So I named this parallelogram ABCD. Segment AB and segment BC are not congruent. That's a parallelogram. So you know 4 theorems about this shape. So we're going to use this shape to help us answer this question. Part B, segment AB is parallel to segment CD. Regardless of how you drew your shape, that's the answer. Segment AD is parallel to segment BC. Segment AB is congruent to segment CD. Segment BC is congruent to segment AD. Angle A is congruent to angle C. So I just realized this. When you're naming your congruent parts, it's important to line up the parts that correspond. So, well, that's in a congruent statement, but it's also good to do in this situation too. If A goes with C, make sure your A goes with your C. Now, if you made that mistake, we probably aren't going to mark it wrong. Angle ABC, that's this angle. Which angle is congruent to it would be angle ADC. Oh, we didn't draw diagonal segment BD, so let's do that. Triangle ABD is congruent to this triangle. Now this is where you really need to watch your order. These angles are congruent, so angle A goes with angle C. We knew that from up here. This angle is congruent to this angle. So if we're calling this triangle ABD, this is triangle CDB. Okay? And that's one of those situations where segment BD is congruent to itself, but B doesn't go with B. B goes with D.